amongst such a glittering array of students and graduates and your family and friends, and sharing this very special moment for all of you with you. So I want to begin, absolutely, by taking the focus away from me and saying congratulations to all of you. I feel very honoured to be with you today. Well done, everybody. My family actually has strong connections with the East Midlands, which is why it is lovely to be in Nottingham today. In fact, I'm joined by my niece by marriage, Jo Redfern, here. She's an executive head teacher just down the road in schools in Huthwaite in Nottinghamshire. And in fact, her husband, my nephew Andrew Redfern, has spent most of his professional career here in Nottingham City as the CEO of Framework Housing Association. So I feel very comfortable here. But going back a bit further, my birthright paternal heritage dates back to Anglo-Saxon times when my ancestors, the Featherstones, were farmers. Well, that's what my sister called them. In fact, I think they were more likely agricultural workers in Nottinghamshire than being landowners. But the Featherstones were in Nottinghamshire and Lincolnshire, and in fact in neighbouring Derbyshire, the stonemason limbs, the name I still bear today, can be traced back to pre-industrial Cromford, where Arkwright came from, home of the Industrial Revolution. And in Elizabethan times, my 9 times great-grandfather, Robert Limb, even had a coat of arms. It's obviously been downhill all the way since then, but there we go. Look, my links to this university, as you have heard, go back to the early 1980s, when many of you graduating today were not born, but your parents and friends and family may well remember those days. I was here at 1980 to 86, teaching in a further education college in Derbyshire, doing my PGCE, and that was the time of the miners' strike, a period that is seared in my imagination and indeed experience. Not a happy time at all. However, as you have heard, much of what I've done and what I have achieved in my life has been entirely down to the experience of growth and education. And so I was asked just to say a few words and give you 3 maybe tips to send you on your way. Well, here are my 3 pearls of wisdom. It won't take too long to say them to you. Whether they're meaningful for you or not, I have no idea, but here we go. The first thing I think is so important is to honour your roots, which is why I just gave you a little bit of an explanation about where I come from, because your roots enable you to grow and to climb. And significantly, they then help you to lift others up as you climb. And that's my first bit of wisdom for you. Lift as you climb, as you go on your journey. Pull up all those other people behind you. As I've said, look, I was born in Moss Side, and I studied and lived in the north of England for a good 30 years or so of my life. But actually, my maternal great-grandfather, Louis Wiest, came from Germany. Like many people in this country in the 21st century, he, back in the 19th century, was an economic migrant. He came here looking for work and for a better life, and he became a British citizen in 1901. And my 2 times great-grandfather, William Wood, was a Scottish wood grainer and engraver, and he walked south from Scotland to find work, actually in the Midlands and then in Manchester in the 19th century. I just wouldn't be here without that heritage, and I don't dwell on it, but I think about that when I find myself listening to the citation you've heard and thinking, where have I come from in all that? But what I have learned, as I said earlier, is that helping other people on their journeys through life and work is critical. I am living witness to the power of social change, and each and every one of you will be that in your own way. If our lives change for the better and we go on and succeed, we will want to help other people change their lives. And I hope you all will do that. My second bit of advice, may be easy to say it, it may be hard for some of you to think about this now, I don't know. But please do what you love. Do what you love, because if you do that, you'll really love what you do. It's quite important sometimes when you face dark moments or you don't want to get out of bed in the morning, particularly perhaps when you were studying and certainly going into the world of work now. But if you genuinely are driven by a feeling of passion for something that you care about, you'll be able to get through those dark moments. My own father was uneducated, so it was amazing to him to see his daughter go on to be the first person in my family to go to university. Because of that, because I benefited from, almost dare not say it in this climate of you as today's graduates who have had to struggle for so much, but because I was the first person to get a grant to go to university, you know, I actually got money to help me get on my way. I have felt that all my life I wanted to give something of that back, and that's why I've been deeply committed to public service, to charitable and voluntary work, and increasingly, because I want to die penniless. Well, not tomorrow, hopefully, but I want to give my money away, such as it is, to philanthropic activities as I've got older. I'm quite a radical, really, a radical who believes in change and who believes in wanting to make the world a more just, a more diverse, a more inclusive and a more compassionate place. And those values, I think, resonate very much with what this university, many others as well, but particularly Nottingham Trent University, is trying to do. So the fabric of my life was determined, as it is for all of us, by the genetic hand that we are dealt at the time of our conception. But our lives are not defined by those parental characteristics or societal expectations and experiences. If you do what you love, you'll love what you do. And I hope very much that that's something you will take with you. And finally, to conclude, this starts to get a bit more philosophical. I don't know why I've left this bit to the end, really, but there we go. Power and influence are two sides of the same coin. They both matter, but they are different. Graham Greene, in his book, The Power and the Glory, reminds us that there's always one moment in childhood when the door opens and lets the future in. Now, that happened to me when I wasn't made head girl in my girls' grammar school, something I really coveted. Because you see, when I was 18, I thought that having power, having office, having political position, if you like, was the way that I could change the world. I could right wrongs, I could confront prejudice and injustice, and I could build a better world. And actually, power is important, of course, and in my own career, I have found myself in positions of considerable power in institutions, as a FE College principal, as you heard, in business as well, and on boards. And indeed, because I worked in the civil service for so many years, I've worked in what we refer to as the corridors of power in Whitehall and Westminster. But here's the thing, there is another way to affect change, and it's something all of us can do. Having inner authority and exerting influence are just as significant levers for change as holding positions of power or wielding political power. My life's journey has shown me just how much I influence by setting an example, just listening to the needs of other people, choosing how and when and where to make an impact. And you can do that without holding office or without occupying a position of power. You can do it for your own faith and belief systems. And my own Quaker faith and values have helped me to develop the inner authority, which, as I've grown older, has translated into respect and indeed honours given to me by the external world. And they're lovely to have, but they're not the most fundamental thing in life. I've never sought out the honour, but I have learned that what matters to people, places and the planet, as you've heard, is to experience honesty, to encounter integrity, to demonstrate kindness, and to show generosity of spirit. I was nurtured by the education system in this country that is the powerhouse for social change that you exemplify, every one of you here today. And I eventually found the courage, albeit in my 70s, to become myself, to speak out against inequalities of all kinds in society, and to speak up for others from disadvantaged backgrounds, which I particularly do through my charity, the Lane Kennedy Foundation. I want people to look at me and say to themselves, this person is like me, and I can be like her. Actually, when I'd written that, I thought, they're all looking at me thinking, do I really want to be a fat old lady with fair hair at 70? I don't quite mean it like that, obviously. So look, I hope that all of you in your lives and your careers will support those who follow you. Please lift as you climb. I encourage you to do what you love. Regardless of your start in life, please step up to serve humanity with kindness, compassion, and in a spirit of peace building. Thank you, Vice-Chancellor, for this opportunity to speak to your graduates, and thank you to the University for this award.